As I said before, this is an introduction to Protocols.io. My name is Gabriel Gasque, and I am Head of Outreach at Protocols.io. And before we begin, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I have a background in experimental neuroscience. I did a PhD, then I did a postdoc. And before joining Protocols.io about 2 years ago as Head of Outreach, I was a senior editor in the flagship journal of the Public Library of Science, or PLOS Biology. I was there for 10 years, and I consider myself a scientist as well as an advocate for open science, experimental reproducibility, and research integrity. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that the main office of Protocols.io is located in Berkeley, California, which is the ancestral and unceded land of the Ohlone people. And we recognize that we have benefited from the use and occupation of this land. Consistent with our values of diversity, equity, and inclusion, we have a responsibility to acknowledge this fact. We also recognize that the Ohlone people are alive and flourishing members of the Berkeley and broader Bay Area communities today. I would also like to share some housekeeping information with you before we delve into the main content of the presentation. As mentioned before, I am recording the presentation, and I will share the recording and the slide deck with all registered participants. Also, closed captioning should be enabled, so feel free to turn it on if you want to use it. I have prepared slides for 40 to 45 minutes, leaving at the end some time for questions. But you can start typing those questions at any moment in the chat or in the Q&A window of Zoom. And finally, while this is an introduction to Protocols.io, you can find upcoming, more advanced webinars by visiting protocols.io/webinar, and there is a URL at the bottom of this slide. You can also request at any time a one-to-one demo at protocols.io/help/demo, and the URL is also at the bottom of the slide. So this is the agenda for today's presentation. I will go over some of the more general points in terms of the motivations for creating Protocols.io, what our mission is, and how our platform and tools can make your work easier and faster, both in the research lab and in the teaching classroom, as well as to increase the reproducibility both inside and outside your own research groups. But let's begin by defining what Protocols.io is. Protocols.io is a virtual platform for the collaborative development, sharing, and publication of detailed, up-to-date, reproducible, dynamic, interactive, and reusable research protocols before, during, and after publication of a research article. Protocols.io started in 2014. We currently have over 189,000 registered users who have created over 18,000 public protocols and over 64,000 private protocols. The public protocols are all open access, which means they are fully searchable and free to read, use, and reuse. And last year alone, these public protocols had over 2.5 million readers. So as for background, we have collected a series of tweets that comment on the difficulties and frustrations of trying to replicate previously published research. And as you can see in this example that comes from the field of physics, Daniel goes from reference to reference, trying to understand how certain devices in a paper from 2017 were fabricated. And when he finally reaches the original publication from 2009, it simply says, devices were fabricated with conventional methods. And this is just an example that highlights a widespread problem. That is very often, the information reported or included in the materials and methods sections of published articles is insufficient to allow readers to understand what was done and to reproduce the experiments. As part of the background on why we created protocols.io, we also like to talk about the Cancer Biology Reproducibility Project, which was a $1.5 million initiative coordinated by the Center for Open Science and by Science Exchange, with the goal of trying to independently replicate almost 200 experiments from about 50 high-profile papers on cancer biology. What the Reproducibility Project researchers discovered very soon after the project began is that it is very difficult to replicate previously published work. There are several reasons why this is the case, but one of them is that the original researchers didn't document in their articles with enough detail what they did and how they did it. So what you see on the screen is a Center for Open Science website that summarizes some of the results of the Cancer Biology Reproducibility Project. And as you can see, of the 193 experiments that they tried to replicate from 53 articles, 0% of the protocols, 0%, were completely described, which made it impossible to reproduce them without contacting the original authors. Equally striking, when researchers from the Reproducibility Project contacted the original authors, they also discovered that these did not always could tell how exactly their own experiments had been done. Therefore, the problem of lack of reproducibility goes beyond the lack of adequate reporting in published articles, but also highlights deficiencies in the way researchers keep record of their own experimental protocols for housekeeping. And this is caused, among other reasons, because people move from labs. So students graduate, postdoctoral researchers become faculty elsewhere, and so on. And traditional paper notebooks can be easily damaged, misplaced, and lost. And it is really difficult to search in those paper notebooks for the most up-to-date version of a protocol. Therefore, we thought that a cloud-based system for the proper preservation and publication of detailed research protocols was needed. So generally speaking, protocols.io comes in two flavors. So we have a completely open access repository, completely free open access repository, which provides unlimited publishing of protocols. Each of these public protocols will receive a unique digital object identifier, or DOI, making them permanent and citable. It is thus free to create an account in protocols.io and to publish an unlimited number of protocols. Because the repository is open access, it is equally free to come and read, use, and reuse the public protocols. We also have premium accounts that offer everything the free plan offers, plus an unlimited number of private protocols and workspaces, premium training, and for the premium institutional accounts, a free protocol import service. If you are interested, You can find more details about our plans at protocols.io/plans/academia. And later on during my presentation, I will explain what workspaces are and how the protocol import service works. Some of you here might already have an institutional premium account if your university is a partner of protocols.io. You can check that by going to protocols.io/for-institutions and follow the steps that I show you in this video. So you go to the URL, you scroll down, and then you can check if your organization has already premium access. But let's now discuss why we think it is productive, time-saving, and rewarding to create, share, and publish detailed experimental protocols in addition to fostering reproducibility. The key message I want to convey is that practicing open science, including open methods, is beneficial for the practitioner as much as it is for the extended research community. So let me begin by showing how the protocols created and published in protocols.io go beyond what a traditional static PDF offers. These protocols, these documents are live, dynamic, and interactive, yet persistent and citable. So I'm going to open one of the public protocols created in the platform and published in the open access repository. But all the functionality that I will be showing applies as well for private protocols. Whenever you start a document in protocols.io, it starts privately, and you have to take proactive steps to make it public. So I'm going to be sharing this public protocol already published in protocols.io. What I want you to see is that the protocol is written in a recipe-like step-by-step fashion. It can be supplemented with images, pictures, and even videos that I can play to make the protocol more or make it clearer in certain steps. Different sections of the protocol can be coded in different colors, created a table of contents that I can navigate. Because this is a public protocol, it has received a DOI and can be cited in a paper. In this case, this protocol is part of a paper that was published in PLOS ONE. The protocols are versionable, and I can navigate between different versions of the protocol. The documents are interactive because any reader can come, select this bubble that has a plus sign, and post a comment or a question, and the author will be notified, and they can come to the platform to respond that comment or question. If I found this protocol useful, I can create my own editable fork. So I will transfer all the information privately to my private folder, and I can tweak just those steps that I need to optimize to make the protocol work on my own conditions. And if this were a wet lab protocol, I can also run it directly from my computer or tablet to create a run record. So by clicking the run button, I can start following my protocol. I can mark each step as done as I make progress in my protocol. If I make a mistake or I notice something unusual, I can add a comment to the run as well. The protocol comes with integrated timers that I can set to different times at different steps. and the computer will let me know when the time is over. And once I keep running and I finish my protocol, I can save the run with a timestamp with all the comments attached as an independent file. But let me go back to my presentation. And while there's a historical bias in favor of protocols in biomedicine, the platform itself is agnostic to the research topic, and researchers have begun to use it to develop, share, and publish protocols beyond the molecular biology lab. On this slide, I show you 7 exemplary protocols in areas of electronic, computational biology, clinical research, systematic reviews and meta-analysis, environmental sciences, archaeology, and social sciences. But you can extrapolate the idea to any specific area of research. Again, let me open a different protocol for you to see. I'm going to choose the protocol in archaeology. And this is a protocol that describes a technique to make diagrams of lithic tools. And again, the protocol is written in a recipe-like, step-by-step format. It can be, or it has been supplemented with images. This protocol, again, is part of a +1 publication. It has multiple versions. I can copy or fork it, run it from my computer or tablet, and accepts comments, as I showed you before for the previous protocol. Now, let's discuss why we think it is rewarding to create and publish detailed research protocols. Not necessarily in order of importance, but a first advantage of making your methods public is that by using specialized repositories to publish these protocols, you are increasing the chances that they will be discovered and reused, which should lead to more credit and recognition for your work. So let me use another example taken from X, previously Twitter. So you can see here a tweet from a researcher who was looking for a protocol for RNA extraction from primary cortical neurons in culture. Someone answered this tweet and recommended a protocol that is in protocols.io. But this protocol is actually part of a paper that was published in the journal GigaScience. Now, the paper was about a fish parasite. So the chances of researchers working on primary cortical neurons in culture finding a paper on a fish parasite as means of finding a method that will work for them seem really slim. But because the protocol was published independently in a specialized repository, it made the method more discoverable and increased the chances of people reusing it. And once a protocol has been published, it has a tab called metrics. The document has a tab called metrics that shows in real time all traffic and use of the protocol, including the number of views, bookmarks, exports, copies, comments, and citations that the protocol has received. Remember, the protocols have a DOI, so they are citable. Another reason to make your research protocols public is to guarantee preservation and to facilitate seamless continuity of the work inside your lab. As we have discussed, a large fraction of a lab personnel is floating because the students graduate and so on. Publishing the protocols makes them persistent citable objects that will be permanently stored in your workspace as well as in the open access repository. And I should mention that all private and public content in protocols.io is mirrored and backed up in clocks, GitHub, and the Internet Archive. And public sharing of protocols also increases the chances of establishing collaborations, as we have seen cases where researchers report that this is the case. And I would like to show to you how the comment functionality of the platform that I briefly described before allows an open, scholarly, and productive discussion between all parties interested in a particular protocol and method. So I'm going to be open another public protocol. This specific protocol is extremely popular. As you can see on the screen, this protocol has received over 1,300 comments. Any reader can come, click at the comments, and I can see comments or questions posted by readers and the author responses. And you can see here the back and forth between the users of the protocol and the authors of the protocol. This becomes an open resource for any users on the future, but you can also see that this collegial communication could potentially lead to collaborations. And managing and publishing your protocols should also simplify your work down the road when the time of submitting and publishing a paper comes. Again, another example from X. Here we have Professor Jonathan Kipnis at Washington University in St. Louis tweeting and saying, what if labs publish each of their unique methods protocols, and in future papers, instead of rewriting the protocols, we just cite them? And he adds, we waste so much time on methods by saying the same thing differently. And that is exactly what protocols.io is about. You can publish your updated, detailed research protocols in the open access repository, obtaining DOIs, and then anyone, you or your colleagues, can cite those protocols. But citing detailed protocols goes beyond saving time by not rewriting methods. Citing and using detailed protocols improves rigor and reproducibility, making your papers more robust and impactful. And this is what the authors of this PLOS Biology paper did. They created, published their protocols in the open access repository, obtaining citable DOIs, which they included in the materials and methods section. Now, the reader, by following the link, has access to the detailed step-by-step protocol in the platform. And a really nice thing about how protocols.io works is, as I mentioned before, the protocols are versionable. So if the authors have updated or clarified or corrected their protocols since the time of publication, the reader will be notified that a new version exists. And they can decide to read the protocol as it was published together with the paper, which is what you see on the screen now, or by following the View the Newer Version link, go to the most updated version of the protocol. And a fifth point would be that by managing, preserving, and storing your protocols in protocols.io, you will be complying with the NIH data management and sharing policy, because methods are an integral part of data. And the NIH's rigor and reproducibility guidelines also explicitly highlight the need for grant applicants to describe details in their applications, and these details should be considered by the reviewers. And as a bonus, by practicing open science and particularly open methods, you increase reproducibility in the field, which you can see as a present from you to your colleagues and the extended research community. But you also increase reproducibility within your own research group, which is a present from you to your team and to yourself. And in a push to increase transparency, accountability, and reproducibility, several organizations, including over 500 scientific journals, funding agencies, and educational and research institutions in 3 continents, support and promote the use of protocols.io. Now, let me give you a taste of how the platform looks like and how its different tools allow you to do everything that I listed before. Organize and preserve your work, collaborate, save time, increase your reproducibility, impact, and credit. So, protocols.io, the platform, has 3 main sections: the workspaces, the file manager, and the editor. And I will explain in the next few slides how they relate to each other by using a simple cartoon. So the workspace is where everything happens. It is from this space that you create protocols, organize your work, and collaborate with others. The workspace has a folder that is organized by the file manager. And in the file manager, you can use the editor to create protocols. During my explanation on what each of these sections does and how they relate to each other, I will be moving back and forth between them. So if you go to our website, what you see on the screen is the landing page. You can create an account if you have not done so already and log in. You can also log in using ORCID, Facebook, or Google. Once you start a session, the system will ask you to create a workspace. At this point, you can also start inviting collaborators to your workspace, but this second step is not mandatory. Once you have created your first workspace, you have access to the file manager, which is what you see on the screen. And in this case, it is empty because in this example, the workspace is new. To start creating new protocols, in the left-hand side, you have access to the administration menu of the workspace. And I will showcase a little bit more later on. And to start creating new protocols, you go to the new menu, which will take you to the editor. So the file manager will eventually contain, display, and organize the protocol that you have created within this workspace. The file manager supports any file type. So you can create protocols with the editor, but you can also bring other documents like Word documents, PDFs, Excel spreadsheets. It helps you archiving, auditing, and exporting because it can connect to Dropbox, OneDrive, and Google Drive. And it has been designed with enterprise-grade security and backup functionality. The editor, which you reach by clicking the new button, has detailed components, a granular editing history, and allows all changes to be reverted if that is needed. The editor also allows concurrent editing by 2 or more collaborators, the same way that 2 or more people can work simultaneously on a Google document. Again, the protocol itself is written in a step-by-step format, and different sections of the protocol can be coded in different colors. Now, going back to the workspace, this is the space for collaborations. You can invite anyone at any point to join your workspace. It can be a student or postdoc, another faculty member within the same institution, and even external collaborators. To invite collaborators to join your workspace. Once it is created, you go to the administration menu as shown in this movie. You select Manage Members, and then you can start inviting people by typing their email address. To join your workspace, they will have to create an account in protocols.io, but creating account is completely free and very straightforward. You can make your workspace public, which means it will be searchable, and people will find your protocols, the public protocols associated with the workspace, and they can request to join, or the default setting is completely private. You can also manage the privileges that members of your workspace will have, and you can limit what they can do, such as inviting other members or sharing or deleting files from the workspace folder or file manager. So participation of the members is customizable. If allowed, workspace members can comment on the protocols that you have created and share with them through the workspace, or ask questions using the comment functionality that I showed to you before. Members of a workspace can also make changes to protocols that you have created in this space. And as I mentioned before, there is a detailed log of all changes implemented, which can be reverted if needed. Members of a workspace can also create protocols in that space, or take an existing protocol, fork it, and optimize it according to their own specific needs. And the platform allows you to compare two versions of a same protocol side by side. So in this case, this protocol has 3 versions, and I will be comparing version 1 to version 2. And the platform automatically highlights the changes that it identifies, so you can have a clear view of the evolution of the protocol. And even if a member of a workspace leaves, because, for example, a student is graduating, the protocols will remain organized, up to date, and available in the file manager. So they don't take the knowledge with them when they leave. You can also select to print your protocol or export it as a PDF to Google Drive, Dropbox, OneDrive, or to your own hard drive. So I'm opening my own account in protocols.io. You can see here the multiple workspaces to which I belong. Each of these workspaces has its own file manager with different folders. But I can take any protocol, I can export it as a PDF to my computer, which is what you're seeing now. And now I have a protocol to be printed, and I can have a hard copy at my bench while I run the experiment. I can also send a PDF, as I mentioned before, to a cloud-based drive like Google Drive or OneDrive. And I can also export the protocol runs. Now, you can collaborate beyond your workspace by sharing your protocols with specific people via email or by publishing them. Again, I will be open my account in protocols.io. I can take any protocol that I want to share beyond my workspace. I select share. And now I can send this protocol to people via email, just this protocol. Once I add these colleagues as collaborators, I can tweak what they can do with my protocol. In this case, I can share this protocol with 4 people. Lenny and Nastia can edit, but Emma and Daniel can just view it, but I can change that at any point. So I'm sharing this protocol beyond my workspace with specific people. Now, publishing the protocol will assign to it a DOI and will allow anyone with an internet connection to search for it and to access the protocol. About 60% of our traffic come directly from Google searches. A published protocol with an assigned DOI is a citable object that can be referenced to in a paper, giving credit to the author's methodological work. The reference will also be linked to the protocol in protocols.io, even if the paper has been published behind a paywall. So the reader will always have access to the step-by-step method. Once a protocol is published, any reader can create forks or editable copies and modify those forks according to their own needs and adapt them to their own cell line or mouse line or equipment. In that sense, all public protocols, because they are open access, are templates for further optimization. Now, the platform has a link that will link any forked protocol to the original one. In this way, the line of credit is preserved. So this is an example of a protocol that is an optimized version of an original protocol created by somebody else. The platform let us know that the protocol we're seeing was forked from another protocol to which the reader will have access by following the link. Therefore, all authors get credit for protocol creation and optimization, and the reader can see the history of changes and evolution of the protocol. Another way to share your protocols and increase your credit for method development work is to send them for peer review and standalone methodological papers to PLOS ONE, Nature Protocols, BMC Methods, or, not shown in this slide, Lab Animal. So what you see here is that once you create a protocol in the platform, you have access to peer review options that includes these 4 journals: BMC Methods, Nature Protocols, PLOS ONE, and Lab Animals. Now, I have to say that if you want to get your protocols peer reviewed, you don't have to necessarily submit the protocol to any of these 4 journals. You know your field, you know your audience better than we do. But we have specifically partnership with these 4 journals. Submitting your protocols to any of these journals will get them peer reviewed as methodological papers, which should include their visibility as well. Now, going back to the workspaces, you can create multiple workspaces in your account depending on your research and teaching needs. You can create workspaces for different research projects or to teach different courses. Each workspace can have different members and contain different protocols and documents, giving you great flexibility for organization. I appreciate, however, that most of you might already have digital protocols in different formats: documents to Word, Word documents, PDFs. So I will do in the last 3 minutes or so a short demo to demonstrate how you can bring these digital existing protocols into the platform. I will show you 3 ways to do that. going from the easiest to the more sophisticated, and then I will briefly mention the import service. So I'm gonna minimize my screen. I'm gonna stop sharing for a bit, and I will reshare. So now you should see my full screen. I'm gonna go to my file manager, and in my hard drive, you can see that I have a few protocols already in different formats. So I have a PDF, a Word document, Apple Pages, and a text file. I can open any of the protocols, not this one. I can open any of these protocols for you to see. So this protocol has a title, an abstract, and a few steps organized in sections. So the easiest way for me to bring this protocol into the platform is to just drag and drop them. So I'm going to create a new folder that we're going to call demo with today's date. I have created the folder, which you can see here. This folder is empty. The easiest way for me to centralize my protocols and share them with all my colleagues in that workspace is just to drag and drop them. So in this way, I'm putting in a single space all my method-related documents. I can even take them and share them beyond my workspace, as I showed you before with the share button. However, because these are documents in their original format and not protocols created with the editor, I cannot publish any of these protocols. Therefore, they cannot be cited and included in my publications. The easiest way for you to publish any of these protocols is to create an empty protocol and attach the protocol as any of these documents. So I'm going to be creating this test demo protocol. And instead of adding steps, which is what is traditionally done, I can go to the description tab. If I intend to publish this protocol eventually, I recommend adding an abstract, which will increase discoverability of the protocol. And then scrolling down at the bottom, there is a place for me to attach a protocol. You can see the protocol attached. Now, if I go to the viewer, I see that my protocol has a title, has an abstract, and the protocol itself is attached as a PDF document. And now I can publish my protocol and assign a DOI to it. However, because the protocol doesn't have steps, it's not interactive, so it doesn't accept comments at the step level, and I cannot run it from my computer or tablet because the steps are hidden within the PDF. The easiest way to create an interactive document out of a digital protocol is to start not from PDF. It doesn't work for PDF, but you're going to start from a Word or a text file. So if I open my Word document, I will see that the steps are here. So I could start retyping my steps by adding new steps. However, to the left, you have a function that says instead of steps from text. So I can click it. I can copy the steps in my Word document that I want to transfer to my protocol, paste them in this window. Each number is a step. I preview them, and now the steps of my Word document have been transferred to my protocol. I can take the name of the section, add the section here, add a new section. which will be the second section, and just keep inserting protocols from text by copying and pasting, etc. So if I go to the viewer, now I see that my protocol has steps. It accepts comments at the step level, and I can run it from the computer or tablet the way that I showed you before. So I explained 3 ways for you to easily create protocols out of existing documents. And I will briefly tell you about the import service. So we have a team of editors that can typeset the protocols for you, transforming a Word or PDF documents into these interactive and dynamic documents. You can send us your protocols by following the URL at the bottom of this slide, protocols.io/we enter protocols, and I'll upload your files. Now, this service has a cost, but it is free for those researchers that work at a university with a premium institutional license. So in summary, I hope to have provided enough information to persuade you that by practicing open science and open methods with protocols.io, you can stay organized, collaborate efficiently, save time, increase your impact, and earn credit for your method development work. And with that, I will be happy to take some questions. So there's already one question. So Ali is asking, can run records be exported to an electronic laptop? Yes, they can. We specifically partner with 3 electronic lapbooks: Lab Archives, RSpace, and SignNote. So going back to my file manager, I have a folder for run records. These are all demos. I can select any of my run records and export it as a PDF that then can be added to any electronic lab book. But we specifically partner with Lab Archives. So you can send the protocol to Lab Archives. I will have to sign in into Lab Archives to send my protocol, but you can do that. So this is the protocol that the run that I want to export. And then I just keep the workflow signed into Lab Archives, and I can send my run record. For the other 2 integrations that we have, SignNote and RSpace, you can only search for protocols from their applications. So the integration is unidirectional. But if you want to send the run record, you will have to create a PDF, and then you can call that PDF from the lab book application. Ali, let me know if I answered your question. If not, I'll give you another go. Any other questions? If you have questions in the future, do not hesitate to reach out to me. You have my email address on the screen. I will also type it in the chat. I will stop the recording now in case somebody wants to ask a question of the record.